Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us. K&A Custom Crafts on Facebook.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. I am Ace, and of course, tonight you're watching another episode of Sportsminute, and I'm joined tonight by a group of great gentlemen. So, how about I go ahead and introduce to you the gentlemen we have tonight here. We'll start out with Mr. Well, we call him Mr. Delusional 2.0, and that's right. We call him Mr. Isaiah Leong. How's it going tonight, Isaiah?
It's going great, man. I did a show earlier with MI6. It was great, and now we have another show. So it's a double show night here on this hump day, not hump night, but I'm here at McDonald's right now. I got my energy boosters, my coffee, and what's left of my cookie. And I got to give a shout out to this McDonald's here in the Bay Area. I mean, they're playing some killer Christmas music right now. That if I wasn't doing a show, I just bring a microphone and start rocking out to "All I Want for Christmas" is You by.
Don't even try it. I was just say, don't even try it. Okay. So, anyways,
let him try it.
So let's go ahead and welcome in Mr. John Alcorn also. So, John, how's it going tonight?
Well, we're good, man. Got a couple of days off and getting ready to buy my tickets for next week. And thankfully, I'm going to be home for Christmas next week. And unfortunately, I'm probably going to lose the bet.
Lose the bet. Oh, man. Well, I'm sorry, my man. All right. And then, of course, our third person that we have with us tonight. That's right. He goes by the name. He's the man. He's the myth. He's the legend. We call him Big B. How's it going tonight?
Man, I haven't been called a legend in years, so like since high school. So, but no, I'm doing good. Had cards tonight. Got quad king, so I won the high hand. Hopefully, if that holds up, but I lost the rest of the night. So, but outside of that, we'll see what over under on Isaiah's takes are. I give that he gets. I'll set the betting line at 5 that he gives bad takes out. What do you guys think?
Bad takes? Oh no, I'm right there with you. But also, go ahead and welcome in our first two viewers tonight. We have Fred Funny is back, and so is Justin Bossman. He is also back. So welcome them both in, and I hope that they're both having a fantastic night along with you gentlemen. So we have quite a few topics to talk about tonight. Our first topic, though, I kind of threw a little wrench in the system here because there was one thing that I really want to talk about that I'm sure you guys kind of know where it's coming or where it's going with this, because we saw it pop up and we're like, man, how is a professional organization known as the Phoenix Coyotes? So I want to know, if you're a professional organization, how in the hell are you about to get locked out of your stadium due to lack of paying bills? It makes no sense to me. Like, you're about to get locked out of your home freaking arena because you have not been paying your bills. I don't understand it. I get that the Phoenix Coyotes have been struggling for a while. But if you've been struggling, why aren't you reaching out, ask them, why are you still a freaking organization? Like, this is what shocks me the most. I don't understand. This perplexes me. John, I'm going to start out with you on this. So tell me, what's your thoughts on the Phoenix Coyotes? They have until December 30th to pay their debts and their back taxes, or else they get locked out of their home arena.
I hope they get locked out. Because, I mean, how do you not pay your bills? That's like telling me, by the way, I didn't pay my rent this month. Can I just try again in a couple of months? No, you're kicked out. You're a grown man or whoever owns this professional team. If you're struggling, reach out or do whatever you need to do. But just sitting there scared in your scared you-know-what list, then don't act surprised. Oh, my God. It's like the malls. That when I used to go to the mall years ago, even during COVID, when they weren't paying their bills, fortunately, things are closing down, and that's what I think is unfortunately happening here. You have people that are depending on this job for the holiday, for Christmas, for their families, and they're not going to potentially have that because y'all can't pay the bills. There's always a way. Even if you owe money, I'd rather you owe money and pay than just don't do anything at all and don't pay your bills. It just doesn't make any sense.
That's my thing. So if you're struggling as an owner, okay, to sit here and pay any type of bills for your franchise, why aren't you being like, hey guys, I can't afford this franchise. I need to sell. Is there anybody who wants to come in and buy this franchise because I can't sell or because I can't pay? And I'm sure that somebody would be willing to step up, be like, you know what, I'll take it over, unless people are scared of the back debt, which I would completely understand. So if it's back debt to where they're like, okay, well, these guys owe like, $100 million of back debt, I get it. That's what would scare me too. So Big B, what's your thoughts on this?
For me, it's I'm with John. Pay your bills. I remember this is probably 20 years ago now. So I think the Washington football team, as we knew them at the time, was Redskins. They had a deadline. I think it was around this time to pay their players, and if they didn't, then the players were going to walk out and forfeit their game. So. Yeah, if you're an owner, I mean, you should be able to pay the bills, but it sounds like it's the arena workers, it's not the team. So I don't know how that would work, but yeah, ask for help. I mean, there's got to be franchises around that would loan you the money or something. I mean, call Isaiah. I know he's got a buttload of money with all the jobs he works on. He could probably, pay a little bit of bills, and maybe he could talk McDonald's into sponsoring.
Yes, McDonald's. I mean, he's there all the time.
Yeah.
Yep. And Isaiah knows hockey. We know that.
I bet you Isaiah doesn't even know where Phoenix
is. Please tell me you know where Phoenix is. Please tell me.
He's the Skip Bayless of hockey's talk.
It's in Arizona for sure. It's in the desert.
Well, at least you're getting that right. But anyways, so so we have Timothy Becker, who is also here. So, Fred is pointing out too, saying Isaiah doesn't know hockey and you're talking hockey. Well, this one you really can't mess up on because we're not talking names or anything. We're just simply talking opinions on what the Coyotes should do with their team. So, Isaiah, I'm going to turn this one over to you. You tell me, what do you think is wrong with this picture and what do you think Phoenix should actually do?
Well, Ace, first of all, let me just say this. I am actually glad that you started this topic by not going to me first and went to Big B and John, because I, for the longest period of time, thought it was the Arizona Coyotes. In fact, I even posted on Facebook Arizona Coyotes like a bunch of times. So thank you for clarifying that up. Secondly, I'm really shocked because, I was hoping and planning to move to Texas and live with John. So, I thought that, we're bros, so why should I pay rent? So I'm really shocked and saddened by that right now. But but in all seriousness, though, about this news, it's another chapter in the saga that is the Arizona or the Phoenix Coyotes. Because this Phoenix Coyotes team aren't they the team that is going to get kicked out of Glendale because there was like something with like them moving or whatever, like they are getting kicked out of Glendale or something that I read like a month or two ago.
Isaiah, we just covered this. We're talking about them getting kicked out because of lack of paying their bills. That's why they're getting kicked out. It's not that.
The owner reportedly wants to leave Arizona anyway, so Glendale gave him like an ultimatum. So it's just another chapter in the ongoing saga. But I mean, I agree with you guys. Pay your bills. You're a $1 billion franchise. How can you not afford to do it unless it's like as humongous as the U.S. debt? Then you might have an excuse there. But other than that, you got to pay your bills.
Well, let's just say this. You're saying that this team is a $1 billion franchise. Well, obviously they're not, because if you can't pay your bills, you're obviously not a $1 billion franchise. I'm just saying, You know, you want to say that, and that's fine if you think they are. But I'm telling you, they're not. If they cannot afford to pay bills, they're not a billion-dollar franchise. And so it's a sad reality that you're going to have a professional team get locked out of their freaking home arena because they can't pay bills. It's sad. It's really sad. And I'm really curious where they're going to go with this, because if they get locked out, where are they going to play home games? They're not going to have an arena to play at. So obviously all of their games are going to be on the road.
Well, I got an idea. Where they
I bet you do.
Why don't, because isn't New Mexico close to Arizona? Why don't you just move the team to the New Mexico State Aggies hockey arena? I mean, it's simple. They can move them down to Las Cruces.
You say it's that simple, but it's not that simple.
I mean, it's like 2 states away, right? 2 or 3 states away.
Anyway, let's go ahead and
they're saying, I just looked it up. They say that the team's worth $285.
Okay,
some report. So
$285. Okay, so
that's full lie. If you're worth that and you can't pay your bills, either somebody's committing fraud or you're just lying. You can't do that and can't pay your bills.
Or the owner's just really bad at money and he just doesn't want to pay bills and he's just like, screw it, just let him go.
He must have an Isaiah doing the books for him.
He's worse than the A's.
Right?
Well,
Definitely.
Player. Oh wait, they're about to move to Vegas. So,
but anyway, so let's go ahead and jump into our next topic, which is rivalries. We're going to talk some rivalries here, okay? So Fred's saying, how did Isaiah pass his history class? Good question. And then Gospel Street is saying, good one. Okay, so thank you. All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump into our next topic, which is rivalry. So with this one, Isaiah, I'll start out with you on this one. Tell me, when you look at rivalries, this ought to be interesting. This ought to be really interesting here. Who are your top 3 rivalries that you really like to watch? And it doesn't matter the sport.
All right. I think for me, it's very simple. First, it's got to be 49ers and Seahawks, because when I first moved to the Bay Area and I started following the 49ers, this was at the peak of the Niners-Seahawks rivalry with Jim Harbaugh and Pete Carroll. I mean, there were some intense clashes in Seattle and also in San Francisco. It was crazy, and to this day, you know, I treat not Phillies Seahawks, but Niners Seahawks as Yankees Red Sox. It's like the West Coast Yankees Red Sox. It's like an amazing. It might not have the storied history, but man, those are some epic clashes that we get no matter what record both teams are every time they play. And so I would say that would probably be number 1 for me. Number 2 for me would be, rivalries. Wow.
1 second, Isaiah. Isaiah, just really quick. Gospel Street, he's on here. He's saying he is watching from West Africa.
That's correct.
So welcome in. I hope you enjoy the show.
That is crazy.
So Isaiah, go ahead and continue.
Yeah, so Niners and Seahawks are definitely, for me, number 1. Number 2, Lakers Celtics. I mean, this is probably like the most storied rivalry in the NBA. It might be one of the most storied rivalries in sports, dating back to like the 60s with Bill Russell and I felt like it was Bill Russell and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, or it was Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain. Never mind. Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain, and then you had Magic and Kareem with Larry Bird and Elgin Baylor for the Boston Celtics. So you had those guys, and then you went to Kobe versus KG and Paul Pierce, and then now you got LeBron versus Jason Tatum. Like, that rivalry each and every year, like it's like it is with Niners to Seahawks. No matter the record between those two teams, when those two teams come and clash, it's always a really good game and a really good rivalry. And I would say number 3. I'm trying to think of the third one. Probably Yankees Red Sox, because every time you watch Yankees Red Sox, it's like, man, it's like a playoff battle, and they always somehow, some way get into a brawl, like seemingly every time they battle each other.
All right. John, how about you?
If I had to pick, I'll pick one, like 2 athletes versus each other. Then I'll pick my 3 teams. My favorite would have to be, like someone says, Richard Sherman and Michael Crabtree. That interview still makes me laugh to this day. Don't try me with a sorry ass receiver like Crabtree ever again. And just that to me was such a hilarious moment, especially with Crabtree, and I think it was Josh Norman years ago with his chain, who Michael Crabtree hasn't been relevant since Texas Tech back in the day. But that's neither here nor there. If I had to pick a rivalry, I'll go back to college football. I always go back to this, but to me, it was Texas and A&M back in the day, and Texas and USC, just because that's how I really got started watching football, and how when Justin Tucker hit that game-winning field goal against A&M in their last meeting when Tannehill was their quarterback that year, I was screaming when the game was over. My mom was like, "Did you cut yourself or something?" I was like, "Well, I hope not." No, because I was celebrating so much of the game of football. I'd pick one more. If I had to pick necessarily from the NFL, that's hard. But I would have to pick. Let's go NFC. I would say Packers and Bears. Despite the Rodgers dominating the Bears, and I love what he said, and people that have issues with that, you probably still live in your mom's basement and get over it. But it's a lot of, I don't know, just something about the historic battles. I think, like you said, like I said about his multiple teams, that despite what the record is, it's always treated like a playoff or a Super Bowl game, and just the history of it from, I forget how long already. It's just something pretty special.
All right, so we have a few comments that are rolling in here. So we have Timothy Becker, who's saying Washington football team versus the Dallas Cowboys used to be a big one. It used to be. But,
Yeah.
I mean, you can still kind of say it kind of is now. It's not as big as it was, but it's still there. It's still there. You can still kind of classify it as.
Well, we need to ask Chris
it's
how
still
big
right
that
for it.
one is still. So, I mean,
Yep,
he's fine.
Tennessee versus Florida, Michigan versus Ohio State, Alabama versus Auburn and the Iron Bowl. These are big ones, but when I look at rivalries, I look at historically. I look at over the history of things. So obviously, when I'm thinking about it, Bears and Packers is obviously one that I'm going to do because it goes back in like the test of time, man. Like it goes back in history. It goes back a long ways as one of the best rivalries of all time. Like it's been around so far. Now, there's actually one in college football that a lot of people don't talk about, and Big B, you might like this one. You might respect this one, and a lot of people may not agree with me on this, but it is a rivalry. And it's actually the Minnesota Golden Gophers versus the Wisconsin Badgers, because it is the battle of the axe. And so, it's every year. It's one of those big things that stands out every year. It's when you watch it, you're like, okay, who's taking the axe home? Well, for like 12 straight seasons, it was Wisconsin. Well, this year, Minnesota got it back. So, it's kind of one of those things. It's always there. And then when you look at like MLB side, don't forget about the Subway Series, New York Yankees versus the New York Mets. That's a big one on the MLB side also. Those are ones that you can look at that are like, those are big rivalries. I think even, I'm not a Mets fan. I'm not a Yankees fan. I'm not a New York fan of like any team there is. But when it comes to rivalries, I'll watch that series because it's kind of like, who has the upper hand, who can come out and be like, ha, we won, ha. We have bragging rights because the Mets won or the Yankees won. So that's a rivalry that I look at too as being a big one. And yes, Fred, I definitely agree with that one. Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson. That's another one, especially if you're looking at the golf side of things. Okay, if you want to go with wrestling, you can go with John Cena, The Rock. That's fine too. But that only happened a few times. Well, it was the once in a lifetime thing, but then it happened again the following year. But we know how that went down, and that's okay. But anyways, Big B, I'll go to you on this one. So who's the rivalries that you like?
Man, is there any more rivalries left? I mean, for me, I mean, we named all the big ones. I mean, Michigan, Ohio State, Bears, Packers. Holyfield, Tyson, Tiger Woods, Phil Nicholson, Yankees, Red Sox. I mean, personally, for me, it's Twins, Milwaukee, the home and home series. One because Bud Selig, when he was commissioner, wanted to contract the Twins, and when his team was sucking, of course, you weren't going to attract your own team. So that, to me, kind of turned into a rivalry. I like watching the White Sox Cubs rivalry. Ace, you mentioned Gophers, Wisconsin. No matter that one, to me, no matter what sport it is for college, for Minnesota, Wisconsin fans, that's always a big rivalry there. But personally, those ones, and I also want to throw in a wrestling one too. I thought Flair, pretty much anybody he fought back in the early 80s, 90s, was a sweet rivalry. Got people in the seats. Flair and Steamboat, Flair, Sting, Flair, Dusty Rhodes, all those guys that he battled with. Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon. I mean, Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt Jr. I mean, people are naming a lot of great rivalries there. So, if you're a sport fan, you got to respect the rivalries, no matter if you're for or against the teams, or even if you're just a fan. I mean, everybody talks about Lakers basketball. It's kind of like Yankees. If those teams are good, the ratings are typically up. So of course we all get sick of seeing the Yankees and Lakers all the time, so we all root against them. So that's what I got.
Yeah, but if we talk about, I don't remember anybody saying this one either. But when you think about boxing. Think about Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali.
Yep.
When you can go back that far, that was like one of the biggest rivalries in the history of boxing. And that rivalry was so big. You can almost put that as like the number one rivalry of all time. It was so big. It was always tune in to watch Joe Frazier versus Muhammad Ali.
And everybody wanted 3
times. Huh?
They fought what, 3 times?
Yeah. It was 3 times, but everybody wanted to see it.
Oh yeah.
Now I see what I know. Justin saying Mike Tyson and Holyfield. I get it. That was a rivalry too, but it was not as big as Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali. Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali were like the biggest pairing in boxing history. It's just everybody wanted to tune in to see that fight. Those boxing matches were the highest viewed boxing matches of all time. And so you tell me that that's not the biggest rivalry in boxing history. Big B, it looked like you were looking at something.
Yeah. In our private chat, you can go ahead and look. Mr. Isaiah said, wasn't Joe Frazier in WWE?
No, Joe Frazier and what? No. Wow, That's scary.
But
that's
actually,
really
I want to
scary.
get to Chris's comment here.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like there's no more. No,
there is.
I don't think there's the personal rivalry like Jordan versus Bird, Jordan versus Magic, personal rivalries, but there's definitely, rivalries between the teams and their fans.
Yeah, there's still the sports rivalries now. There's even a few rivalries that have kind of gained steam, such as like the Steelers and Ravens. That rivalry has picked up steam over time.
There's definitely still rivalries in sports. I mean, we talk about it every year. I mean, this weekend, ain't it Bears-Packer weekend?
It's Bears-Packer on Sunday night, which is another one of the things. Like, to me, it doesn't matter the records, and especially in divisional games. It really doesn't matter.
Justin just posted a good one, too. Serena versus Sharapova.
Sharapova, absolutely, huh?
Actually, Serena versus her sister was actually a pretty decent rivalry too.
Serena versus Venus, which it was, but Serena overall has the more wins by actually quite a few. Yeah. So she's kind of dominated that rivalry between her and her sister. How
about Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal, the tennis guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Justin just posted that one.
Which
too.
is-
There's a lot of great.
which is Djokovic now. It's Djokovic and Nadal now has really become one, because you always see that those two are always one and two typically in the nation now as tennis players are in the world. You see those two ranked number 1 and 2. Generally, you do. Those are the two people you really see up there. So.
Chris
All right,
is naming a lot of great rivalries.
Oh, absolutely. No, but that's why we're saying there are still some there. It's just the personal ones aren't really there.
Yeah, they're not getting publicized like they would, I think.
No, it's not. It's not, because back then it's like John was saying, you had Crabtree and Sherman. You had Aqib Talib and Andre Johnson. Those were exactly right. Those were big personal rivalries back then.
You had Deion Sanders and whoever he was covering, because they always
absolutely, absolutely. That was so rough. I'm not gonna lie. Deion Sanders, such a phenomenal talent, but I hated whenever my team went against them. I just hated it, man, because Deion Sanders was one of those guys that I'll tell you, he wasn't just a corner that would shut down one guy. He would shut down an entire side of the freaking field. And so that's what I'm saying, man. It wasn't just that; it was an entire side of the field.
What about Lewis and Eddie George?
Eddie George?
Yeah.
Yep. All right, so now we can go into our next topic, which this one, to me, it actually caught my attention. That's why I threw this up there. When we look at next week, Tiger Woods is set to play next week in the PNC tournament with his son Charlie. Okay, they played. They last played 2 years ago in this tournament. This was the last tournament he played in, and they finished 7th in the tournament. But now we're looking at this year in the PNC tournament. His first tournament back since being injured.
Was it 2 years ago or was it last year?
It might have been last year. I know. Yeah. It was last year. Okay. Him and Charlie played, and they finished 7th. Right? Yeah, they finished 7th. But when you look at what Tiger Woods has gone through now, I'll tell you, it's shocking that he's already back this fast. So, Big B, I'll start with you on this one. How impressive is this that he's already back out there? And in his first tournament back, he's going to be playing with his son.
I really think these are the kind of tournaments Tiger's going to play in for a while. Because, one, he doesn't have to walk the course. He can drive. 2, it's not – I mean, it is going to be all about him because of who he is and stuff like that. But, if he wins it or loses or finishes 10th or whatever, with his son, I mean, to be able to participate with your son in any sport, any level, I think is a great honor. And he's already come out and said that he's playing as a dad with his son. He's not playing with Tiger Woods with his son. So I give a little bit of respect for that he doesn't want the cameras on him, but they will be because it's Tiger Woods and after he's coming out with. Yes, I am shocked that he's back a year or less than a year back. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of range of motion he has, with his backswing and putting and, driving and all that stuff. So I'll be tuning in as much as I can and seeing it. But, I really hope the best for Tiger Woods. And, if this is the only tournaments we're going to see him in for a while, probably better off for him. So, but I can tell you right now, Tiger's, with his injuries, he could probably still, golf left-handed and beat me, in golf. His son definitely can outdrive me. I mean, I see the kid drive last year, and I'm just like, wow. So,
yeah. And I'm telling you, I don't think it's going to matter exactly what place they finish. Yep. I think people are just kind of like, wow, he's back. He's going to be out here. He's going to be golfing in this tournament with his son. I think that's the bigger part of it. I don't think people are not expecting Tiger and Charlie to win. They're not expecting it. And so think about this. think about what kind of story this would be if Tiger Woods and Charlie Woods were actually able to come out and actually win this thing.
Well,
that would be freaking unbelievable.
He said last year that his son carried him, because he was having some bad shots that Charlie was on. So, it's possible. I mean, golf's one of those things is, if you got just a little hook in your swing or just something going on in your mind, I mean, you can have an off day and, no matter what, I mean, Tiger Woods is still a name. I mean, people still want to beat him, be him. Mm-hmm. So now we see Charlie Woods coming up. Some of those kids are going to want to try to beat Charlie Woods. So,
Well, yeah, because definitely, when somebody's playing on the golf course, especially if I'm playing like a round of golf with some of my friends or my brother or whatever, it's simply like, oh, look, I'm Tiger Woods. You typically don't say another name. You typically go, look, I'm Tiger Woods, and you're still talking about him. But John,
or if you use another name, it's Happy Gilmore. So.
Yeah, which I do Happy a couple times out there. I have to try it.
Hilarious and can play golf.
But anyways,
his ex-wife's going to be there too, so that might be a little interesting interaction.
But John, I'm going to go to you on this one. When you think about it, how impressive is this that Tiger Woods is back this quick, and what do you think the expectations is going to be?
We talk hard work and determination in sports and comebacks, but I mean, I think this tells you how passionate he is about the game of golf. Because if it was just some hobby to him to play with his friends, to complain about his wife or ex-wife or his kids, I'll take my time and we'll see this. But it's not like he had a scalpel in his hand or something. This was something really serious. And I think for him to come back from that, I give him full credit. It's definitely something special.
So Justin is asking me if Tiger Woods is better than Jack Nicklaus. Well, let me tell you this. Tiger Woods has more tournament wins overall. He has more wins. Is he better than Jack? It's close, but he does have more wins. So, but in terms of...
Well, most of us haven't seen Jack in his prime. We all caught him towards the end. I mean, we've all caught Tiger's prime.
Well, yes, no, which I get what you're saying there, but if you're going about like overall like bigger names and tournament wins, Tiger Woods has more wins, but for skill level, it's about the same. It definitely it's really close.
But the technology's also changed too in the clubs and stuff.
But I'm telling you though, with Tiger Woods, some of the things that he has pulled off has been pretty impressive. When he won the freaking Masters with a torn ACL and a sprained ankle, and you're telling it's that is what you call determination right there.
Yeah.
ACL. I'm out there. I'm driving the golf ball still, using his plant leg more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the leg with the torn ACL. And so that's why that's just crazy. But all right, so we can jump into our next one, which Isaiah said he'll be back on here soon. We're gonna jump.
I thought he didn't like to talk golf, so I thought that's why he left.
Oh, he's way out of his league in golf. But anyways, what's up, John?
Oh, so am I. I don't know hardly anything about golf.
Yeah, but it's still okay when you can sit here and talk basics. And you can talk about the sheer determination of Tiger Woods and what he's been through and coming back. I mean, that's freaking incredible.
Especially, didn't he have another comeback a couple years before when he went to jail for a little bit for like a DUI or something? So this guy just continues to come back time and time again. I have no respect.
Absolutely, just time and time again. When he's ready to fully retire, I think it's going to be a sad day in the golf world when he decides to fully step away and be like he's done and doesn't want to do it anymore. I know right now he doesn't want to be a full-time golfer.
Nope.
But he's still done. Yeah. He's done being a full-time golfer, but he's still going to golf in some tournaments, just not being full-time. Yep. All right, so now we can jump into our next topic, which is on the NBA side. So you look at the Portland Trailblazers now. They have injuries from Damian Lillard. They have injuries from CJ McCollum. The Blazers are kind of banged up all over the board. CJ McCollum has a punctured freaking lung. And right now they're saying he's out indefinitely at the moment. They don't know when McCollum's going to be back. Damian Lillard was only supposed to be out for 10 days because he had a stomach issue. And I hate to pronounce the name because I always screw it up every time exactly what it is. But when you don't have McCollum on the court and Damian Lillard on a court, you have a problem. But the thing is because Lillard was only supposed to be out for 10 days, not 10 games, 10 days. And so since Damian Lillard is out for 10 days, we don't know when McCollum's going to come back. Big B, I'll start with you. Do you think that the Blazers can weather the storm until Lillard and McCollum get back? Or would you say right now, the Blazers are done?
Well, they're playing tonight against Phoenix, right? Or they're playing tonight against Golden State. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're playing the Warriors.
So what was the current score of that game?
I would have.
Well, because last time I looked, it was like 10-point game. So Warriors are probably one of the best teams right now.
It's the Warriors and the Suns are the two best teams in basketball.
Yeah, so if you can hang with the best team, unless they got blown out, but at the time I was looking at it, by 10 points, they're beating you by. You're out a couple of your stars, you're banged up. I think they got a chance to hang around there, and I see some people are saying let's trade for Ben Simmons, Kyrie, I mean, we'll see, but right now I just say, as long as they're treading water, and once they get healthy, I mean, sky's the limit.
The Warriors won by 10. It was 104 to 94.
Okay, so yeah, so if you can hold on and be that close to a team that's playing out of their mind right now, I mean, you should be able to tread water, and once you get healthy, you should have some confidence. Say, hey, no matter who's on the court, we held the best team to beating us by 10. So let's play on.
Yeah, to me, it's just I don't know how long you can hang in there without Lillard and McCollum.
But it's not like they're playing every day. Most teams are playing every couple days, every 3 days. So I guess it all depends on how long it's going to be out. But, if it's going to be a short term, they should be fine. But if it gets into February stuff and they're not back, then you're probably going to be hurting.
Well, he should be back because, like I said, Lillard should actually be back, if not by the beginning of next week, at least towards the end of next week. McCollum, we just don't know because we don't know how that punctured lung is going to affect him and how long it's going to keep him out for. That hurts though when you don't have your top two players in there. And I know you're seeing, like Fred is saying, trade for Ben Simmons. No, you don't want Ben Simmons,
that's
man.
the stupidest thing you could do, right?
You do not want Ben Simmons at all. That dude, he can't shoot. He can't shoot the ball. Ben Simmons is definitely not the answer. Maybe Kyrie, but I'll tell you his status right now. It's looking like he's talking about getting the vaccination now, which makes it to where he might be back here pretty soon. That's what the rumors are saying. I don't think that they would trade for him if he does come back. I think Kyrie sticks with the Nets. But anyways, John, the current situation now with the Blazers, without McCollum and Lillard, can they sit there and can they hang in, or are the Blazers done right now?
They're done right now, and it doesn't matter if they had CJ McCollum or Damian Lillard. It's the same story every year. They're going to go to the playoffs. They're not going to do a whole lot. They're going to get suckered in the second or third round, if not the first round. They're not going to go to the finals. They're not going to win a championship. Nothing's going to happen. It bothers me when people think, oh, this is the year. Well, what about – that's what you said last year. That's what you said the year before and the year before. No, they're definitely not going to not saying the season's over. That would be very dramatic. But I don't think that this is the team to have a chance to go too far. And to address Justin's comment, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. So I would suggest please doing some more research because according to there's a rumor that he could get another 2-year contract. Knowing him, he's committed to Portland, so there's no way he's going to Boston.
Yeah, it's John, I get what you're saying about the playoff situation. I get it, but right now I'm at the point now to where Portland, they're 11-15 on the season. So right now, Portland has to even focus on trying to get in the playoffs like that.
Well, if they play at home, they got a good shot because they're 10-4. They're 1-11 on the road.
You do.
Yeah, well, right now, who's actually playing better than the Blazers? There's actually a team that was supposed to be one of the worst teams in the league, which is the Rockets, that are actually playing better than the Blazers at this point in time. There's
really
the Rockets. The Rockets have won like 6 straight games.
We won like 7-8 straight. We just won by 10, 12 points against Brooklyn tonight with Harden returning to Houston.
Yeah,
I mean, you're going to get on a streak. I mean, yeah, okay, so they're playing better right now. But
that's why I said right now they're playing better. I'm not saying they're a better overall team. I'm just saying now they're playing better. But right now, if you ask me, the Blazers are done. Like, I don't even know if they're going to make the playoffs, especially if they drop 3 more games. They're going to be 11-18. And that's going to be hard to dig out of, definitely to start the season at this point in time. Because when you look at where they're currently sitting in the standings, they're sitting 11th in the standings. But the teams that are ahead of them are relatively healthy. The Blazers right now are not healthy. The teams that are ahead of them, they kind of are. And so that's why I was like, if the Blazers keep dropping back, and if they can't get Lillard, McCollum healthy, the Blazers are done.
Yeah.
All right. So now we can go ahead and jump into our next topic, which is, so we've all seen the report that Ben Roethlisberger, after the season, because this is his 18th season in the NFL, and we have seen that Big Ben is calling it quits after this season. He's already come out and informed people within the organization, informed teammates, informed people around him, and said, you know what, after this season, I'm done. I'm not coming back. But we've seen it before with other players, with Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and Frank Gordon, guys like that. But so my question is this. Do you actually like it when a player comes out in the middle of a season and tells the franchise and his teammates that he's retiring, or do you think it's too much of a distraction? I think players do it because they try and light a fire underneath their teammates by saying, hey, this is my last dance. So since I'm retiring, how about we go out on top? But it could also be a distraction though too, because you have to look at the future of the team. And so Big B, my question to you is, do you actually like it when a player comes out and says that he's going to retire after the season is over?
I think that's more that should be kept in-house as a fan. I mean, yeah, it's nice for us to know that, we're going to be moving on from him, but, I think that should be more in-house, kept secret. I mean, if the player was in a media session and said, you know what, this is going to be my last year, okay, fine, now it's public. But if he's talking behind scenes and in the locker room and, he's like, hey, guys, I think this is going to be my last season. Let's do what we can to, let me go out on top. But, as a fan, yeah, I'd like to know because now I can say, hey, next year we're going to have a new quarterback or a new whatever, but as a team, I think it's, if he's telling the team that and he doesn't want to make it public, then I think, yes, it should have been stayed in-house.
All right, so really quick before I get to John on this, I want to hear Isaiah's take, and I think everybody not on the situation of retiring. You just missed the fun take. We were just talking about the Blazers, right? And I can't wait to hear your take on this one. But without CJ McCollum, which is out indefinitely right now with a punctured lung, and Damian Lillard out with a stomach issue, do you think the Blazers are done?
Of course they're done. I mean, Damian, there's already reports that the Blazers players have issues with Chauncey Billups and his coaching staff. It was reported by Hoop Central on Twitter. And there's like been a lot of issues. They have issues with Chauncey Billups' coaching style and his staff's coaching style and all of that stuff. Damian Lillard, I mean, one day he wants to be out of Portland, and then the next day you hear reports, I want a 2-year, $107 million plus contract. It's like, what do you want? Make up your mind. Do you want to stay in Portland or do you want to leave Portland? I don't know what he wants. And then now McCollum's out. McCollum, I feel like is one of the most underrated players in the NBA with his ability to score the basketball. Yeah, so of course they're done. They're done. There's like this Western Conference is so deep. Portland right now, I don't really know exactly the record, but
they're 11-15. They're 11-15.
They're 11-15. There's so much turmoil and chaos going on right now there in Portland. Dame, with his situation, Chauncey Billups' situation, McCollum is out indefinitely. Yeah, they're done. There's no way they're going to be making the playoffs this year. In fact, I'll be stunned if they even crack the play-in tournament.
All right. So now, since you gave your take on that, John, I'm going to go to you. We're going back to the conversation about, Big Ben and then players saying in the middle of the season that they're going to retire at the end of the year. Are you okay with this, or do you think this is kind of more of a distraction?
I think it's a coward move by Ben Roethlisberger because the fact is you should have retired after last season. With how bad he's playing, there's no way he's going to come back next year. That's two things you're never going to see in the NFL. Ben Roethlisberger and Tom Brady being a backup. You're never going to see that. When Tom Brady retires, Tom Brady retires. When Ben Roethlisberger retires, he's going to stay retired. Doing that in the middle of the season basically means, hey, I've played terrible. I should have retired after last season. You keep it in-house. You just say in-house, but there's always going to be one or two people that have to run their mouth and spring it all to the social media. And yes, I don't know who did that, but Chris, I'm sorry, but you have to turn in your badge and gun. But the point is, there's no reason why what was the point of saying that? You basically made it, hey, this season's a lost cause. Because why would you say that? Unless you have no confidence in yourself, you have no confidence in this offense, you have no confidence in this team, especially the failure of last year and the cringeworthy dances that Juju Smith was doing on TikTok instead of focusing on the playoffs like Odell was on the boat in the Giants playoff game. Oh, wait, never mind. We see the recollection. No, I think it's a coward move. Like, if your team is about to win it all or something, then okay, it's your last dance. But this doesn't come as a shock. You should have retired after last year. And they gave him a new contract, and they lowered his cap hit. And look what's happening now. The Bengals are not as much of the Bengals as what they used to be.
Okay, so when I look at this, though, the biggest thing for me is typically when you look at guys like Peyton Manning and Brett Favre and all them, before they retired, they never really came out. I know Favre did his, I'm retiring, I'm coming back, I'm retiring, I'm coming back. But he kept coming back. And Peyton Manning didn't say, well, this is my last year, I'm going to retire. A lot of quarterbacks haven't done that. They're kind of like, you know what, let's see how the season plays out. Let's see how I feel after the season. And then we'll kind of go from there, which to me is kind of more of a respectable thing, because the thing is I kind of agree with John that it's kind of like you're kind of showing, you know what? Mm-hmm. I kind of understand that I don't have what I used to have anymore. I'm not like that anymore. And I can't play like the Big Ben of old. And so I kind of understand definitely where you're coming from on that. But we all know that even if you're trying to keep it in-house within the organization, the odds of that happening are going to be very, very slim because at some point, somebody is going to leak it. Somebody is. I don't know who, a media or somebody is going to. And so where they were saying that John was making a bad take by saying that Josh Allen
So
was going to be MVP. That's not really a bad take because Josh Allen balled out last year.
So 26 touchdowns, 10 picks, a quarterback rating of 97.5, over 3,200 yards passing is bad. So
yeah, I would take Jimmy G over him.
dude,
oh my gosh, dude, Isaiah. Oh no, oh Lord, Jimmy G over Josh Allen. Oh good Lord,
you're telling me
Winners.
Wait, so throwing for 353 against Tennessee is bad quarterback. Throwing for 315 against Kansas City is bad. Throwing for 58 against Washington is bad. Throwing for 366, okay, I suggest, but still, throwing for almost 400 yards is not as easy as we think. But apparently, that's a bad take. So you
let me
please stick to doing your research, buddy, because you apparently don't know your football.
So Isaiah, if you're going purely off interceptions, if that's what you're saying, because Josh Allen has thrown 10 picks, if you're going off that, basically what you're saying is that you would take Jimmy G over Patrick Mahomes, because this year Patrick Mahomes has thrown 12 picks, and you're telling me that you would take Jimmy G over Patrick Mahomes.
No, I wouldn't take Patrick or Jimmy G over Patrick Mahomes because Patrick Mahomes has actually won a Super Bowl. But I would take Jimmy G because he can win. He wins.
But he win last year, Phil.
Hey, that's because he was hurt and we were stuck with Nick Mullins.
All right. Anyway, I'm not gonna get.
If Jimmy G was a winner, you wouldn't have drafted Trey Lance in the first round this year.
Thank you. You wouldn't have traded that many picks.
There you go.
Pro pick. Thank you.
There you go. Jimmy G. Look, I'm not saying that Jimmy G is a horrible quarterback, but I'm not.
He's
But I'm not taking him over Josh Allen. I'm just not doing that. But
yeah, you would have to be like drug tested or think that you should get your full card taken away.
All right,
so wouldn't even take him over Kirk Cousins, and I don't like Kirk Cousins that much.
Well, you know what's funny about that though is that this year Kirk Cousins has 23 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, and nobody talks about it. You know why? Because it's Kirk Cousins, and nobody cares because it's Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
That's why nobody cares.
It doesn't matter.
That's
the point. If it doesn't translate to wins, to me, I don't care. I'm not putting all the blame on him, but all I'm saying,
you're exactly right, John. If it
doesn't translate to wins for him and as a team, it's team's fault and his fault, not just on Cousins. Then numbers is I might as well get a big bag of Doritos and get one chip out of it because most of it's
I don't know. I'm just personally saying though, like when you look at Kirk Cousins' numbers this year, they're not horrible. They're not.
No, they're great, but that's Kirk Cousins every year. He puts really good numbers. And then in the playoffs, he goes and he just sharts his diaper, and then that's pretty much it.
Kirk Cousins is not better than Josh Allen. I'm sorry.
No, but
think that then you should probably not watch football.
No, Kirk Cousins is not better than Allen. I'm just saying, Kirk Cousins has 23 touchdowns to 3 interceptions with a 106 passer rating, and nobody talks about it because it's Kirk Cousins. That's why.
Team that's losing.
Exactly. So nobody talks about it. All right. So,
well, we'll talk about that off.
Well, it's kind of like before Russell Wilson had gotten hurt. Russell Wilson had 10 touchdowns to 1 interception, and nobody talked about it because Seattle was losing.
Yeah, we had that same thing last year and the year before with Wilson, where he puts up really good numbers for the first quarter because they were a first quarter team, and then after that they crapped the bed.
Exactly. So I'm really hoping that nobody really comes out now and starts talking about like Daniel Jones being better than Josh Allen or Zach Wilson being better than Josh Allen. I mean, that's just crazy.
Better than Josh Allen now, according to Justin, which is the dumbest comment of the night. I'm sorry, but I literally cannot ignore such horrendous football comments.
Well, number one, like I'm not gonna just because Allen is not having as good a season as last year, I'm not gonna sit here and tell and call him out and say, you know what, Allen, you're Baker 2.0, you're not that good or whatever.
Saying that.
I know, no, I get that, but I'm not going to sit here.
The AFC Championship game makes him a bum. So clearly,
No,
do your
Drew Lock now is better than
Okay,
Josh
but-
Allen.
That's a troll comment, though.
But I'm going to say though, I'm not going to sit here and say that Josh Allen is bad. Only do now if he goes like 3 consecutive seasons and
Or even
he's
next
this
year.
bad, then I'll come out and be like, okay, Josh Allen isn't good. But this is his first bad season. And so I'm not going to sit here and say, okay, his first, this first season's bad, so I'm going to say he's bad. I'm not doing that.
No.
I mean, even though he still has almost 100 quarterback rating and 26-10. So it's not like I don't think people are just evaluating because in terms of numbers. I think they're doing it because in terms of wins and losses, not in terms of his individual numbers.
Well, no.
Because if he was winning and he had these same numbers, would people be criticizing? No. So it's not the numbers. It's the
Okay.
wins.
But my question was, though, Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills had basically the same amount of wins as the Chiefs. And Patrick Mahomes basically had the same numbers. And people were looking at Josh Allen saying, okay, you know what? He's not as good, blah, blah, blah. Nobody was really saying anything about Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly, because it's the media bias and towards certain quarterbacks. It's the same thing in the NBA with LeBron.
And so my point is, and Fred and Justin, I'm not saying because he made the championship game, because we know that Sanchez was horrible. I don't like him. Dofer won a freaking Super Bowl, and Dofer was horrible. Okay, Brad Johnson won a freaking Super Bowl, and Brad Johnson was horrible. I'm not saying because they won a Super Bowl or made the championship game that makes them a good quarterback. I'm not saying that. But when you look at overall, like last year, Buffalo had no running game whatsoever. They had one receiver in Stephon Diggs last year. That was it. And Allen had 40-plus touchdowns last season with just basically Stephon Diggs. That was it. Now, he took a little bit of a step back this year, which
Well, I get, over 30 touchdowns. I mean,
yeah, he'll still make that 30 touchdown mark. I guarantee he will. He's still going to get there.
And Ishmael, I respect your taste, love your viewing, but
he's doing
I'm a Teddy Bridgewater fan. I like the guy, but there's no way he's better than Josh Allen.
No, he's not saying that at all.
No, he's trolling. He's trolling.
I'm gonna troll
because he's trolling Isaiah.
Trolling me on every sports show.
All
Exactly.
right.
So Fred, basically you're proving my point right there by saying Bills have no running game. They don't. They have no running game. So basically they have to rely on Josh Allen because they have no running game. That was kind of like the same thing with Matthew Stafford in Detroit. They had no running game. It was all Matthew Stafford for years with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. They had no running game. It was always Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay because of lack of running game. In Kansas City, they didn't really even have a running game. And so now they finally have Olaire, which is decent, but he's not a great running back, but he's decent. And you still see these guys, and you still see these guys putting up numbers without a running game. And that's what makes it more difficult is when you're having to throw that ball that many times because you don't have a running game. And when you talk about, Jimmy Garoppolo, okay, I'm not saying he's terrible, but what I'm saying is he's always had a running game. San Francisco has a running game. They do. And so it helps him out because he can hand off the ball, which then opens up the passing game. That is the big point. That's what really helps Jimmy G is that you guys have – if you have a running game, it's going to help you as a quarterback. It's definitely going to.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Your take on that, Ace.
But Isaiah, I'm going to go back to you because you haven't had your take on, this whole retiring in the middle of the season thing. So,
wow. Well, I completely forgot the topic because we got into this whole discussion about Josh Allen.
Hold on, though.
bad comments, so we had
no. I'm talking about this comment right here. Justin saying Jimmy G has better weapons and Bill's weapons are. Now you're even making my point even better. No. But I'm saying though, if you're gonna come out and say that though, you're gonna make my point even better. Because then if you're saying that a quarterback is better because he has better weapons, obviously if you have better weapons, you should be a better quarterback. But the thing is
it works.
Absolutely. There are some quarterbacks that can do a lot with little. Some of them will.
Tom Brady.
There are quarterbacks out there that can do that. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning. There's been several quarterbacks who have been able to do a lot with very little.
Cooper Rush.
Oh, don't start that bullshit.
Oh God.
Yo, we said quarterbacks, not.
All right, so Isaiah, we were talking about, do you like the fact that players decide to come out and say that they're going to retire after the season is done?
I mean, there's like two ways to this, because if they don't, then you're going to have that cloud lingering, right? About how, is he going to retire? Is he going to retire? And that's really going to distract the team. But if he does, then it's kind of like a coward move, like John said. So, I mean, there's really no perfect way to go about it. I mean, it's like coaches leaving for different colleges in college football. There's really no reason, like no way where you're like, you're like the best way to announce your departure. So, I mean, I don't really have a problem with it. In fact, I think like what Big Ben did, I think it was a good move, because it can actually get that cloud that is lingering over your team, and you can move on to actually playing football, because you know that if you don't do it and it's still lingering, the media is just going to constantly ask you about it. Like, hey, are you retiring? Is this going to be your last year? And it's just going to be so distracting. So I would say, like, for me, I don't really have a problem with it. Plus, it also gives the Steelers franchise now an opportunity to look for a future quarterback if they haven't yet.
Let me ask one thing. He said Emmanuel Sanders is washed. So apparently averaging almost 15 yards a catch, 39 receptions, 600 yards on the year is washed. But thank you.
So Fred is actually coming out saying that the Steelers need to draft Kenny Pickett, which I'll tell you though, I think that the Steelers are going to have to do something because of the simple fact we've seen the quarterbacks that they have. And I'll tell you, Rudolph definitely is not the answer. Nope. We've seen him try and start multiple times, and Rudolph is just not that good of a quarterback. Now, the one guy that it's kind of wait and see on Dwayne Haskins. We know what he did in Washington. He wasn't good in Washington. Maybe it wasn't a bad situation in Washington, because there's a lot of things rolling out right now that Washington was not a good spot to be in, and the environment around there wasn't great, and the locker room wasn't great. Dan Schneider wasn't great, wasn't really welcoming people with open arms. Maybe that was part of the problem. I don't know. Maybe Pittsburgh is a better scenario for Dwayne Haskins. But when Big Ben missed that game, though, because of COVID, it was not Dwayne Haskins who got the start. It was, in fact, Mason Rudolph again who got the start. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You're not. You saw what you had of Rudolph last year, which was absolutely nothing. I mean, the guy is not a good quarterback. And you're not going to give Haskins a chance to come out and see if he has something in Pittsburgh. I would have done that. But I know Pittsburgh's going to have to do something, because I don't know if they have the current quarterback on their roster.
No, he's in Green Bay. They're going to trade for Rodgers.
Okay, stop, baby. You sound like Fred and Justin here. But no, I'll be curious to see what kind of quarterback they do get, because Big Ben not being very mobile, great in the pocket. Now, what does Tomlin do? Never had a losing season, so how does that kind of adjust in terms of do you get a more running type quarterback like Lamar with Rodgers' arm, or I don't know, because like you said, the 2022 draft in terms of quarterbacks is terrible. So you either have to keep passing for a year, hopefully sign a good veteran quarterback. They're not going to adjust the draft this year. That'd be really dumb. Get a guy, a veteran in free agency, then get a guy in 2023 or 2024.
Yeah, because there's really only a few quarterbacks that are coming out this year that are going to be worth anything. There's really not a whole lot this year that is coming out. Like, Kenny Pickett, I think, is going to be good. He is one that I think is going to be good. I'm not ready to call him the next Montana yet because I haven't even seen him play in the NFL. I haven't even seen him play in the NFL yet, brother. I haven't even seen him play it.
Brother,
that's crazy.
I
But
love that Fred funny guy already.
But anyway, so
Kenny Pickett is a legend. Come on, guys.
So we know that there's not very many good quarterbacks coming out this year. And the ones that we thought were going to come out with Spencer Rattler, he's actually going to transfer to somewhere else. So he's not going to actually come out in the draft. He wants to transfer, go one more season, and see if he can up his stock just a little bit. Since his stock dropped this season, it dropped a lot. Like, it dropped a ton.
And now a transfer portal. I haven't seen that in a while. That's crazy.
He was supposed to be the number 1 overall pick in the draft, the Heisman Trophy favorite, and he dropped from that all the way down to if he came out this year, he'd probably get drafted in the 6th or 7th round. That's how far he dropped off. But anyways, we're at that point now. We're at that mark. So Big B, I'm going to start with you. Go ahead and give us, any of your final thoughts that you may have.
Oh, man, I love interacting with the viewers. I'm not going to, rip your guys' comments and stuff because it is your opinion. But, I mean, some are out there. I mean, time will tell. But, it's great time, with the viewers. Keep checking our shows. John and Isaiah, thanks for coming on. And before I get up my last minute here, I'm going to plug Bodine Sanders' book, Race Against Race. Great book. Still reading it. Check it out. It's on Amazon. Great stocking stuffer. Great Christmas gift. So thank you there, Chris, for putting that up.
Absolutely.
With that being said, just keep it out. Checking C2C all week and MI6. And we'll see you guys all next week.
All right. And then, of course, Isaiah, any final thoughts for you?
Yeah, my final thoughts was it was a great show. Thank you to our audience for such amazing comments for tonight. I mean, I love the Drew Lock comment. That was such golden comment right there. But my final thoughts is that, I want to answer that Steelers question that you threw out, Ace, about who should they get. If I'm the Steelers, I would take a late round flyer, actually, on Stetson Bennett, the quarterback for Georgia, if he does decide to go for the NFL draft, because he might not be the sexiest name in the world when it comes to the draft, but if you can get him in the 5th round, I mean, this guy, he's a game manager, obviously, but he's also mobile, and he made some great throws this year for Georgia. He passed for 24 touchdowns and only threw 7 interceptions, which was pretty good. So I would take a flyer on him. Obviously, he's not the best quarterback in the draft, but hey, if he's there in the 5th round, he's probably great value. So I would definitely take a chance on Stetson Bennett if I'm the Steelers. But great show, and man, we missed Ace's mini games again, man. I want to defend my title so bad.
All right. Yeah, we'll get there one of these times. All right. So, John, how about you? Any final thoughts?
No, it was good to be back on, and gotta be talking some football again. Next Friday, I have my Christmas special with Dean from Fox Sports and John from Sports Talk Chicago, so make sure to check it out.
Absolutely. So, definitely thank you to all of our viewers for watching. Thank you, Big B. Thank you, Isaiah. Thank you, John. And then, of course, thank you, Chris P. Bacon, for being backstage and doing what you do for us. So thank you very much for that. Continue to check out our shows. Tomorrow you can actually watch another episode of Kicking It with Isaiah and Ace tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun, just so everybody knows, because sometimes people get confused. And remember, Kicking It with Isaiah and Ace is not just a sports show. It's random topics. You never know what you're going to get on the show.
You don't know.
Exactly.
Night. Let's do it. Christmas caroling style.
I
You
want to
just
traumatize the audience here. Come on.
you just never know what you're going to get on that show. So you can check it out tomorrow, Kicking It with Isaiah and Ace, and we will see you tomorrow again. And then, of course, we'll see you Saturday for another episode of Sports Minute. So have a fantastic night.